Très bien, je vois que l'enregistrement a commencé, donc nous pouvons commencer ce webinaire de présentation de notre appel à projet SDSC Canton de Vaud. So first of all, I would like to mention that due to a quite diverse number of people that have subscribed to this webinar, some of whom do not speak fluent French, we will have a voiceover in English and the slides will be in French. So hopefully everybody will find an adequate amount of information out of this webinar. I would like to warmly welcome all of you to this short presentation. I am Silvia Quarteroni. I head the innovation team at the Swiss Data Science Center, and with me are two colleagues who will introduce themselves. Roberto, please.
Thank you very much. I'm Roberto Castello. I'm a principal data scientist at the Swiss Data Science Center and the head of the vertical on energy and sustainability.
And Joanna?
Welcome to this call. My name is Joanna. I joined the SDSC 1 month ago, and I will lead this program with my two colleagues, and I will be also responsible to open the SDSC at the Biopole very soon.
Excellent, thank you. So if we can move to the next slide, please. Here we are. So why are we having this joint call with Canton de Vaud? Our objective is to generate a measurable, tangible, and sustainable impact on economy, but also society in the Vaudois territory. And the way that this will be achieved is through a twofold kind of support. There is, of course, one financial component to the support and also a technological component based on the concept of collaborating together with the Swiss Data Science Center on projects in the domain of data science. Since we are an academic institution and we thrive for excellence, we will hold a competitive call for projects which, as opposed to other funding instruments provided by the Swiss Data Science Center, has a very specific target, which is primarily individual companies, SMEs, but also consortia reuniting academic players and industry, or, and this is quite new, cantonal administration entities. So our idea is to touch members of economy and civil society in order to support them carrying out projects. If we can move to the next slide, please. We are aiming at a few selected strategic domains, but of course are open to other submissions in other domains too. The strategic domains are very briefly health and biomedical. For example, here we are aiming for companies or consortia submitting applications in personalized medicine, such as personalized oncology or discovery and development of new treatments and therapies, or even improvement of quality of care in a hospital domain, for example. So patient-facing applications. In the energy and sustainability domain, what we aim for is, for example, projects that include improving the energy efficiency of buildings, optimization of manufacturing processes, forecasting and optimization of consumption and in general of electrical or energy networks, and anything pertaining to sustainable mobility and the environment. And finally, in social impact and digital transformation, what we aim for are projects, original projects in the domain of assistance to specific categories of the population, for example, the elderly or vulnerable population categories, for example, migrants. These projects can involve analysis of documentation, optimization of workflows, detection of anomalies on production lines, and similar. Of course, as mentioned before, we also welcome projects that do not necessarily fit into these three main themes, but these three themes are particularly dear to us and to Canton de Vaud. Next slide, please. So the eligibility criteria, which is probably the most important slide in this whole presentation, we welcome projects which have an innovation component, of course, and which have a potential for direct repercussions on the socio-economical tissue of Canton de Vaud. The projects that we will fund are projects which can last up to 12 months. So they are not PhD funds, if you like, the cycle is rather short because it needs to follow, of course, the cycle of economy. The main candidate, or let's call it principal investigator, must be an entity that is registered at the Registre du Commerce Vaudois, if it is a company. The results must be, it must be possible to draw value out of them, at least partly, by being able to communicate about them publicly. Of course, the ideal situation is being able to share data or metadata deriving from the projects, but of course, in an industrial domain, this is not always possible, and it is fine that way. In the case of consortia submitting jointly, we have to have at least one company, or let's say one non-academic entity, being the primary submitter of the call. We have other funding instruments which are aimed at academic players. This is primarily aimed at SMEs and similar. So a representation of a company or SME should be there. What we also want to point out is that we would like the players involved in the consortium or the individual company submitting an application to provide a contribution which is proportional to the amount of funding that they get. So in the case of private companies, what we ask is that companies individually contribute 20% of what they ask. So you get 100 and you contribute 20, for example. In the case of academic counterparts, what we ask is to have at least a commitment of 0.1 FTEs throughout the duration of the project. Thank you. So when it comes to the nature of the support, as I mentioned earlier, projects are expected to last approximately and ideally 12 months. What we provide is up to 125,000 Swiss francs, all tax included, in cash. And these are for the asking consortium. As I mentioned earlier, we ask for enterprise companies, members to give back 20% of this amount or contribute 20% of this amount. This is the maximum amount that can be asked. As a counterpart to this amount, what the companies will receive is not only the in-cash contribution, but also an in-kind contribution by the SDSC for the equivalent of approximately one full-time. So one full-time equivalent. For three projects, and we will mention the two-phase selection project. So there will be more details later. But let's say for a pre-selection of projects, we will offer as an alternative path to the full-bodied support, which will be available for few companies or consortia, inevitably, an alternative complementary form of support. And this is a program where we will coach companies between December this year and February 2026 in order to help them put together convincing proposals and in general to help them mature in their data science competencies and strategy. And this will be aimed at ideally being able to identifying the most convincing and the best fitting proof of concept project that we can together jointly come up with. And this in turn will result in the possibility of benefiting from 6 months of SDSC support in order to deliver this proof of concept. We have recently introduced this alternative means of support in order to be able to support a wider larger number of companies or consortia compared to last year, given the overwhelming demand that we received and the limited number of slots that we could guarantee for full-bodied projects. Over to you, Joanna.
Thank you. Let's go to the different steps that we have put in place during these few months. The first step is to submit a pre-project. Don't worry, it's only 2 pages, and you will have a model, a template on our website that we will also share with you after this call. Then you will have a platform where you need to register and enter all the details about your project, and also as an attachment, the template with a summary of the project, who are the partner, if you have any, and a rough budget for the first step. You have 1 month to submit this pre-proposal of 2 pages. And then for the step 2, a bunch of experts of the SDSC will go through all the proposal and will select the project that they would like to move forward with a second submission, which will be more with more comprehensive information. This is also at the step 2 that we will see and if the company has enough maturity to be independent in this process. So you will see that in our template, we have a few questions. We have 3 questions where the company or the consortium can assess their level of maturity in terms of AI. If you tick that you are at a beginner level, we will take this proposal on a second bucket, and you will have the possibility to follow this accompanying program with us. We will do that very quickly. Actually, we have until mid-November to do this selection process, and then we will communicate to candidates which one are going to be invited for the last step, which is the step 3, where they will be they will have to submit a full proposal. This full proposal is a 10 pages proposal, also based on the same template which would be available on our website. And here they will have a bit more time to submit more details, including a detailed budget for the 23rd of January. The last stage is the selection process, and the selection process is also involving some external experts in the model of InnoSuisse, for example, and the experts will then select who are the finalists who will be working with us during that year of collaboration. We also would like to introduce a new step here, which is a pitch. So we will select the finalists and ask them to pitch in front of the jury for 10 minutes. And we aim at communicating our final decision by the end of March, so that we can start our collaboration together by April 2026. Now I will let Roberto present you the criteria for evaluation.
Thank you, Joanna. I will briefly guide you through the criteria of evaluation that will be used for this pre-project selection phase. So, as Silvia mentioned, of course, the innovation is maybe the main criteria to identify successful projects, and of course the impact on the Vaud economy. Then, of course, we will assess things like alignment with data science topics, because you have to justify our support in this project. And another criteria will be about the ethic and legal principles. So if the data they are going to use for this project are meeting the last requirement in terms of protection of the data protection laws. The feasibility temporarily, in the sense that we will the maximum for these projects will be 12 months or slightly less. If you are too ambitious and you submit a project that requires more, then will not meet this criteria. And the last one is probably the most important at this phase. As it's been mentioned, we will assess also the maturity, the level of adoption of AI in the SMEs, and based on that, we will decide to assign you to this program where we can let's say help you in building and shaping a better project which has a solid data science component, and then moving on to the 6 months project realization development in order to deliver the proof of concept. Next slide. So here the accent is more on the criteria for the full evaluation project. You will be invited to submit, if you are successful in the first phase, to submit a full project proposal. And in these 10 pages, we will assess all the criteria listed here. So, of course, the clarity and exhaustivity of the project, the innovation and the capacity to scale also. The impact, more detailed impact on the cantonal economy, and impact on the Vaud market, and in general also for the Swiss one, and societal impact as well, and of course alignment with the criteria. So is the expertise of the consortium enough to deliver these projects, and also the feasibility of the project itself in relation to the company. So all these criteria are detailed in our documentation. You can have a better look. And next slide. So here we show examples of candidates or consortia that are eligible. For example, if you are an SME, of course, you are the main candidate for this call, so of course you're eligible. Then we also encourage a consortium where there is one SME, for example, based in the Canton of Vaud, and an academic partner from the Canton of Vaud, like HEG or University of Lausanne, and so on. Also, if you are a startup and you partner with an academic entity, this is also eligible. If you are an SME, Swiss SME with a presence on the canton, of Vaud, there are some conditions that the project has to really have a significant impact for the canton itself, and not, of course, not for Switzerland at large, but it can justify your eligibility. And then also NGO and other semi-public entities can be eligible according to some conditions, and the main one is that the project has to be impactful for the canton itself. So, and I hand over to you again, Joanna.
Yes. So there are a few key dates that I encourage you to write down. So as I said before, the deadline for submission for the pre-project is in 1 month, on the 8th of October. We will then communicate our decision by mid-November. And you have 3 solutions. Either your project is rejected, unfortunately. Either you pass that step and you will be invited to submit a full proposal, or your project is interesting and has an impact, but unfortunately, you still need a bit of help in terms of AI. And here we will contact you to propose you this parallel track where you can get some coaching from the SDSC. Then during the winter time, we will give you the time to submit your full proposal until January. At the end of March, we will notify all the candidates about which project are selected. Also, we will provide some feedback. So it's very important for us to give some feedback to all the finalists. You will get a 1-pager with the comment of the jury, even for those who are not selected at the end of this process. And finally, we'll start a 1-year collaboration for the big project and a 6 months proof of concept for those who have taken the track of the coaching with the SDSC. You have many other opportunities with SDSC. So if you follow our channel on LinkedIn, you may have seen that we are also launched some national call. So if you are based outside of Canton de Vaud, you have also the possibility to collaborate with us via this national project. So you have the link here. It's on our website. It's a different process, which is broader to the whole Switzerland. We also offer a lot of training programs and courses that you also have on our website if you are not ready yet to submit proposal. And finally, we of course have some training in partnership with EPFL, and you also have this information on our website. So even if you are not ready for this full process, you have the possibility to contact us on a different part to collaborate with the SDS. We will leave now the floor open to all your questions, and feel free to ask any question, but could you just precise what kind of entity you are, if you are from the business part with SMEs, or you are more a representative of académique or canton? It will help us to answer your question.
Yes, and by the way, Joanna, we already have 3 questions, so I propose we start going through them. So thanks a lot, Patrick Cassel from Perivision, for your 2 questions. The first one essentially relates to the expected maturity, AI maturity of companies, and it's an excellent question. So last year, we opened this call for proposals for the first time, and we noticed that there was quite a significant difference in the AI maturity of our applications. And what we realized was exactly that some of the companies were particularly mature in AI and somehow providing the funding to these companies or consortia was a relatively easy to justify kind of action. And in other cases, companies had very promising products or ideas, but a bit of a lesser maturity. And it's exactly for the second category of companies that we thought of, rather than discarding the proposals, to provide this accompagnement that we call the follow-up and essentially the possibility to submit shorter proposals, POCs, which are perhaps a bit easier to quickly deploy, but have less of a research component. So essentially, we aim at catering to both AI mature companies and not so mature companies. And this is precisely, by the way, the role of the SDSC to help companies gain a maturity regardless of their starting maturity.
And may I just add, for the assessment will be very simple. At the end of the template, you will have 3 questions to answer. And actually, this is you who are going to tell us if you need some additional help or not. The questions are very straightforward, and it will help us to sort out the one who may need more help.
Perhaps if we go to the second question by Thierry, regarding the eligibility, is a consortium between an SME, maybe you meant SME, and public authority allowed? Absolutely. We would be very happy to see this, because this is a demonstration of essentially, the joint, the complementarity in data science that 3 different kinds of entities can provide: the company, the public sector, and ourselves, the academia. So absolutely, yes. There's another question by Patrick, which is about how many projects are funded eventually. So this will, of course, depend on a series of factors, including the budget that is asked by the different consortia. What we would like to accommodate is up to 20 projects. Of course, of these, out of these 20 projects, there will be a mixture of projects lasting 1 year with a cash contribution and with 1 FTE by the SDSC, and projects lasting 6 months by half a FTE from the SDSC. So a mix. Perhaps I can move on to the question by Bastien. Can the consortium also contain European members, since we as main requester are located in Canton de Vaud? Yes. Of course, the ideal situation is, of course, that each player in the consortium has some interest, or let's say a role to play in Canton de Vaud. That would be the ideal outcome. So if for the purposes of this project, which will have an economic or societal impact on the canton, you will have a consortium including non-Vaud members, that's okay, absolutely okay.
Just maybe to add that the main applicant should be from the Canton of Vaud and should be an SME or a startup. So can be partner, but not the main one.
We have another question. How do you assess the AI maturity of candidates? That's an excellent question. So we have over the years at SDSC, developed a methodology regarding this. Of course, one component concerns the maturity of the organization itself, and another component regards the proposed project. So a mature company is expected to propose a very convincing and mature, in a way, project proposal. But the two things are not necessarily on the same level, and we will evaluate both. We have Aymeric. Concerning the data science component, does the project have to be data intensive or rely on data manipulations? Or is a project relying solely on LLM workflows acceptable? I think the key criterion that we are looking for here, as Roberto mentioned earlier, is innovation. So we do not necessarily want to see the latest and greatest in computational terms. What we want to see is an idea that relates to a data-driven solution, which is original and which is expected to have a business or societal impact. So it can be using more traditional machine learning, if you like, or less computationally intensive methods, provided that it is original and it has an actual meaningful application. Perhaps somebody else can reply to some of the questions. Yes. Of course. Thierry's question, maybe.
Roberto, you want to go ahead with the budget?
Yes, for the SME, can you explain the support provided by this call? Do SMEs get some financial support from the project? It is not clear how the 20% contribution by the company is considered. Yes, the SME get financial support for the project up to 125K, as it was mentioned, and then we require 20% contribution on the requested amount. This is kind of commitment also for the project itself that we ask to the company. This resembles a bit of the in-cash contribution of the InnoSwiss applications, for example.
So essentially, you will receive up to 125,000 Swiss francs for your project, and you are expected to give back 20% of the requested amount to the entity providing you with the funding. If you request less, or if you have, for example, an academic counterpart, so you ask 125, but only, for example, 100 are reserved for the company and 25 are reserved for the academic player, then only 20% of that 100K will be expected of you as a company.
And just maybe to add that the academic partner instead should contribute with an in-kind of 0.1 FTE instead
or
of
more.
Cash, or more. Yes.
Or more. Arnaud has a question.
You are mute, Arnaud.
I lower my hand, and thank you very much. Thank you for the presentation, the opportunity you're offering. I think it's very welcome, as we all SMEs have to think also how the business will be evolving. We're in academic publishing, in the business of data. Tons of ideas are coming, obviously. I'm still trying to understand what you're bringing. There is the funding part that is coming from the Canton de Vaud, and I guess SDC will be coming with support and expertise towards the company. I'm not sure I understood. I don't know if you have a few examples how SDSC has already worked on specific projects to help organization, because we probably will have maybe a partnership with an institution, a researcher, or someone, a specialist in something. But what is the part SDSC will bring into the picture?
That's an excellent question. So over the years, the SDSC, and in particular the innovation team, which I lead, has collaborated with about 50 different companies and public sector entities on concrete projects. So usually the way that we collaborate with companies, and it's very similar to what we are offering here, is that we have a data scientist who is dedicated to solving a use case, which will be the object of your project proposal, and will have 1 year to do so. Usually what happens is that we tackle one specific problem. For example, how can we optimize the energy consumption of a production plant? Or how can we characterize patients based on the adverse effects that they will have when they encounter a treatment? Or similar questions, which have a data science answer. And what we provide is one data scientist, typically supervised by a principal data scientist, so a very senior data scientist, if you like, working hands-on on that project. And of course, if you have, if your project, your let's say intended project involves an academic counterpart, we're happy actually to collaborate with that academic counterpart. Usually academic counterparts that we've collaborated with in the context of these projects have very specific domain expertise. So they will have expertise in a certain domain, such as building energy estimation or clinical domains and similar, and they will complement the data science expertise that we provide quite nicely.
It would be helpful somehow in order to make or to brainstorm and think, is that project or initiative a good one for us to see how to include? Obviously, of course, the funding is very much welcome. I'm still trying to build into the proposition or see what it will be these experts coming from you bringing into the picture. And this is not so clear, but I guess we can mail to the email you gave and we can ask questions and try to think about it.
Yes, but perhaps we could also mention some examples right now. I mean, I don't know if Roberta, for example, you coordinate a number of these projects, if you can come up with some precise examples, or I can.
For the project of Vaud,
yes, specifically, ideally, yes.
Yes, for example, we have we will announce soon, but we have the 5 projects which were successful last year. We had a consortium of 1 startup, one with 2 academic partners, and even 2 SMEs from the Canton de Vaud, and even one which is external. And then the budget has been divided among them, with the main part going to the main applicant, the startup. And this has worked quite well, because we see that there is our data scientist has started to work on this project, and she can let's say have a weekly interaction with the partners in order to align to report about the progress and align to the direction. So we work really hands in hands with the companies, and of course we involve the other part of the consortium when is needed. So it's really a whole collaboration.
Perhaps we can move. Yeah, sorry.
May I have another question?
Yeah, sure.
In case there is a collaboration between your data scientist and, for example, a startup, if there is a result, there is a tangible result which can be implementable, I don't know if there is a possibility of IP or any other thing. So how is it handled in the future?
Yeah.
The sharing, is there a sharing, or it belongs to the company who initiated the call?
Very good question. So generally when project starts, systematically when project starts, we sign together an IPR agreement. So the idea is to have these IP terms and conditions agreed upon, let's say within 3 months of the start of the project. This is because we expect each and every project to have some IP that is jointly generated, and we want to fix the terms of that jointly generated IP. There are many schemes that can be adopted. Of course, EPF Health has its own schemes. For example, there is one that is specifically dedicated to Swiss projects, which could be considered similar to our case. We will make proposals in that sense, but of course, then we will negotiate them together with you and any other partners.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And by the way, I just want to point out that the idea of this collaboration with companies is, of course, to generate commercial value whenever possible. So the IP discussion will be quite lenient in favor of the company, so that the company can draw benefit and commercialize, monetize the inventions that are generated jointly, if any.
Thank you.
Yeah, there was a question about the give back. Maybe the word is not. Let's talk about contribution of the 20%. The question is about if it can be in time and material for the companies.
So usually, since you receive in cash, you're supposed to give back in cash as well as the company. This is essentially a demonstration of a strong commitment of your company to make this joint project work. Of course, this is not the case for academic counterparts who are expected to provide in-time material, i.e. NFTs.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, very interesting question about open access and in general the encouragement of publishing the results. Of course, since both SDSC and Canton de Vaud are public institutions, there is a strong interest on our part on making sure that the innovation that is generated in the context of this call reaches the widest possible public. So ideally, yes, publications are a very desirable outcome, and data publication is a very desirable outcome. Currently, there is no specific dedicated financial support for this part. And there is also no obligation for this, as I mentioned earlier, because companies have their trade secrets and we cannot impose that. But some part of the innovation, for example, even an announcement that, the company and SDSC have focused on a certain project or maybe a white paper, that would be most desirable. Any other questions?
Okay. So in terms of documentation and information, you will get the slide that we have published in this presentation, as well as the link to our website where you have all the guidelines, the template, and the rules about this project. So I will share that via email to all of you. And of course, you will also have a dedicated email address where you can reach out to us, ask some questions. We are also very happy to organize a short call with you if you have any doubts, how to present your project in the first phase. So we are here to help you and to guide you through the first steps.
And thank you for attending this webinar, and we really look forward to your submissions. Have a good evening.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.